Hey everybody, it's Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com. Today, what am I going to show you? Oh, this seat is beautiful. I think it's completely salvageable. Actually, I don't think so. You don't want to pay over 200 bucks for a complete replacement seat. Well, we got you covered. There's already pre-sewn seat covers. I'm going to show you how to change it out. Pretty straightforward. This is specific for the Vespa LX. So the Vespa LX, starting in around 2005, 2006, all the way to about 2014. If it's got this like kind of double saddle look, it will work whether it's got the white piping. This is actually specifically for the Vespa S, and they had the double saddle. If it's got the fastback look, the foam's a little bit different. If you have the LXV that's got like a twin seat, that's of course completely different. It's not going to be compatible. But if it looks like this seat or the original LX seat, kind of a lot of them were in tan. They said Vespa on the side sometimes. They were also in blue. This seat cover is going to be the correct seat cover for your application. Of course, you can watch this video. You could certainly, if you're a good seamstress, you could probably sew up your own seat. It's not too many stitching things. You could use the old seat as a pattern, of course. I'm not going to teach in upholstery school today, but I just want to show the basics of changing out a seat. So I think this is still worthwhile. The foam's still in pretty good shape. There are a couple areas where it got some weather damage. The most important tool you're going to need is a pneumatic stapler, specifically one that uses pretty small staples. This one specifically uses the Arrow, I think they're T50 quarter-inch staples. You don't want to go any longer with the staples because you know what's going to happen. They're going to be catching your butt when you go out riding the scooter. You're wondering where to get something like this? Here in North America, there's a hardware store with cheap tools called Harbor Freight. I think they're about 30 bucks there. You can get the name brand pneumatic stapler from Arrow at probably Home Depot or something similar, and maybe about $50. If you don't have compressed air, you're going to need a pretty powerful electric stapler. No hand stapler is going to do the job as far as I know, but the more powerful electric staplers, obviously they're going to cost a bit more, especially if it's a battery powered one, but it might do the trick as well. So the first order of operations. So normally the seat has a latch in the front and a little escutcheon. This S seat actually doesn't have that, but the LX always did have the little hook. I'm going to actually replace it when I put the seat cover, since the new seat cover has a hole for it. We do have the complete bag hook kit from Vespa, pretty inexpensive plastic piece. It comes with a escutcheon as well. Part number is 494634. Two other things you may want to consider. If you look underneath the seat, you can see these rubber pads. There's a round pad and there's a rectangular pad. They may be missing or they fell off at some point. They are available as a spare part. So if you're looking for the round one, part number is 577492, and the rectangular one is 296456. And these were used on quite a few different Vespa seats, so something we stock at ScooterWest.com. So first order of operation, let's get the seat upside down. I don't really care about this old seat cover, so I'm going to put it right on this dirty bench. But when I put it back together, I'll probably take some extra care. So a couple things you got to take off. They got these little upholstery protectors on both sides. I already took the one side off. Go ahead and get that out of the way with the screw. You're going to have the lock because it's got its own little escutcheon right there. So the only way you're going to be able to dismantle it, you're going to need to pull this clip out. Don't lose the clip. So I just did that with a little flat blade screwdriver. And the next step is you want to pull both these screws out. So this little thing is the actual cam itself, and then the actual plastic lock tumbler. So go ahead and remove those two screws. Obviously don't do something like me and drop the screws. You can leave the lock tumbler in this little tube. If this is damaged, you could buy it as part of the complete cable spare parts kit for the seat on the LX, and that's part number 59, excuse me, 653994, and it comes in that kit. So we'll set that aside for now. So these little rubber buffers come out. If you do want them out of the way, give you a little more clearance. As you can see, I already started removing the seat cover. It's a fairly tedious task. You want to have various sizes of just thin flat blade screwdrivers. Just to show you what you need to be doing all the way around the whole entire seat. Get underneath those old staples. These ones are pretty rusty, so you may end up with some staples that break. And dig your way underneath these staples and pry them up. And once you get the staples pried up, you use something like a needle nose. Probably have a trash can handy. Go ahead and pull the staples off. And we're gonna go ahead and do that for the remaining, my guess, 25, 40 staples, somewhere in there, all the way around the whole seat. All right, so pretty much all the staples are out. It's been a good 10 minutes of work doing that. And at this point, the seat pan is just going to separate out of the seat foam. And let me show you what's underneath this. Well, you got this control cable for the seat itself. I did the previous video on how to replace that control cable, and just kind of figured do a little, there's a little clip of what it looks like in there. And it's got like a little thing that pops through. Kind of making sure it's all in place. If the seat cable is questionable, it may be a good idea to change it, because the problem when that cable breaks, you're kind of like locked out of your seat. It's not very convenient. All right. Another thing is you have the seat hinge itself. That does pull out if you do want to lubricate. This one's a little bit on the rusty side. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on both of these hinge pivots right here, because it's your only opportunity to ever really service that, unless you use some type of spray grease in there. And so we'll just put a little grease in those. It's already a little on the rusty side, but still's got some serviceable life in it. And we'll set that aside. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and separate the foam from the seat cover, the original seat cover. And if you're quite handy, of course, you could sew your own. There's the old seat cover, could be used as a template. The foam still is in fairly good shape. If it's been exposed to the elements and a little bit wet, you may want to dry the foam out. If the scooter's a little bit too tall for you, this is your perfect opportunity to shave it down. So the foam thickness right here, say it's a little over an inch, inch and a quarter. You'd probably take about a ½ inch with a really coarse sandpaper to kind of reprofile the seat. This is your opportunity to do that. Of course, there's not really an easy way to go back if you do shave it down. So just a idea for thought if you're vertically challenged and want to lower your seat. So there's one thing, this is a pretty rare S seat. Obviously it was in pretty trash condition. I do want to put the seat hook just like what was found on the LX. So the bits in the plastic are all there. You just need to cut the foam, because I think they pretty much overmold the foam at a later step. This knife is getting a little on the dull side. And I'm pretty much just cutting this well out where that seat latch will go. And you know, it's not an area where you sit, so you would never really feel that, but there's now this little hole's exposed, just like it would be on the standard LX seat. All right, so we're gonna start with the seat cover. It's seat-LX-COV. Find it on the Scooter West web store. It's just a basic black seat, and made pretty much identical to how the original was made, with elastic and all. And it's intended to go over the foam. It is possible to go over an old seat cover if you don't want to go through the steps of unstapling it. But probably the most professional way to go about it is go over the foam. We're going to go ahead and start with the seat cover. I got the rear of the seat. And we'll go over this rear here. I think that's going to be the easiest method right here. All right, so I'm kind of working to keep the stitch symmetrical. You kind of want to look at the stitch, see that it's like fairly symmetrical from left to right and even front to rear. And then we'll work up to the front. And there's this little slot right here that they already have pre-cut. That's approximately where that latch will go. And the goal is to get the vinyl over the edge, and then we're going to staple through this elastic. So we'll probably start on the side and kind of work our way and pull, work each side, kind of staple from the center as we're pulling the seat cover, because the goal is to get the seat cover as taut as we can over the foam. And obviously leaving it in the sunlight, it will also allow it to kind of shrink and conform a little bit. So I'm gonna shoot some staples in it from the front. Got it almost all the way rolled over. Obviously keep your hands out of the stapler. And pull that over. You can kind of see how much of the vinyl I have pulled over. And I would say do a staple every inch, 25 millimeters. So I'm pretty much grabbing big chunks of the seat cover and pulling it up and over the foam to kind of compress it around the foam. And the most important part is to get this vinyl to wrap all the way around the seat pan before you send a staple. Pretty close right here. Obviously keeping your fingers out of the stapler. So you can see it's starting to kind of come to shape right there. A little bit right up here. And if there's something you don't like, you could always pop the staples and even pull it further. It's looking pretty good back here. All right, so at this point, got all the staples in. Put these little protection pieces back in place. Kind of try to get the puckering to a minimum on the seat cover there. And it's typically going to puncture a hole in the seat cover where this screw goes. And go ahead and repeat for the other side here. Go ahead and put our replacement rectangular bump stop if you need replacements. There's the original. The other side, so I got all the rubber bump stops in place. Next, we're gonna go ahead and put the key in. You're gonna need to take a knife, kind of position where that keyhole is, and go ahead and cut that out. The good thing is that a escutcheon that's included with the key is pretty large. And you can kind of make not the nicest circular cut if needed. So something like that. Then you have this notch on the top, the little rib. That's going to go towards the top of the seat. To kind of feel the seat around, we're going to go ahead and pop this little mechanism in as well. The actual thing. And then you're going to want to hold the lock in with quite a bit of force and then send this little screw right here. And that's what's going to lock that escutcheon or the actual plastic lock tumbler in place. All right, then take the last screw. It goes into this little plastic piece. And at this point, make sure the seat lock's working just fine, so it's opening up the seat. You're going to need to put that clip back in place. So the lock's in there, so there's a flat and that goes on the top. So there you go, that's all set. And there's our upholstered seat. Looks pretty good right here. It's a little bit puckered right here to sun. Leaving it out on a hot sunny day is gonna allow it to stretch a little bit more. One thing to keep in mind, I did do this on the twin seat for the S150, which has a slightly different shaped foam. If you look at the original LX, it's got like the horn actually pops up a little bit. So there's obviously a little bit more foam in the front, while this original seat cover probably was a little flatter in the front. So it was kind of my error. I just wanted to try it out on the seat. It was a perfect opportunity to, but I think the LX, it's gonna fit a little bit better. The last thing we're gonna go ahead and install, since this S seat did not have the latch, or the bag hook as you call it, 494, 634, the original Piaggio partner, pretty inexpensive part. So you have both this latch right here and the seat. So it kind of goes like that. So we may need to cut more of the seat out. So we'll carefully cut the hole open just a little bit more, kind of feeling my way around. There it is. So it's definitely a little bit more work to fit that on the S seat because this horn's a little more shallow, but kind of made it work. Definitely will work better on an LX seat. It's kind of what I had just to show you how to do it. So, all right, so well, there's a reupholstered seat. Obviously not the best job just because I used a slightly different seat pan in foam, you know, from the Vespa S. I hope that helped, kind of give you the tips and show you how it's done.